Hello everybody, YoshiGuy64 here, and Animal Crossing is definitely one of my favorite series that has ever come out on a Nintendo console. However, since 2001, we've only gotten 4 installments in the main series, and since the most recent editions released in 2012, we've only seen 2 spin-off games. Now, hey, they're great spin-offs, don't get me wrong, or at least one of them was good and the other one was there, but still. And ever since the release of the Nintendo Switch in early 2017, a lot of fans have been clamoring for some kind of news on the series, but that is where Stardew Valley comes in. Released originally in 2016, this game became a hit, and just a little while ago, it finally made its way to the Nintendo Switch. And while some may consider this to be the next Animal Crossing of sorts, its unique gameplay, visuals, and details really set it apart from anything I've seen on the Switch so far. Let's take a look. The game starts off with our grandpa lying down on some kind of cot by the fireplace. Don't know why he chose to lie down there rather than say his bed or even better the couch, but yep, there he is. He gives us a letter, and as we start to open the envelope, he tells us to wait until we're, basically depressed. Fast forward to XX years later, which in this case is present day, and here we are working at some dystopian warehouse called Joja. We aren't alone either. Working around us is people like Woody from Toy Story. Well, either way, it's pretty clear that we're not happy, and by the looks of it, pretty much nobody else is here either, so I guess it's time to open that letter. And it's indeed to a house in Stardew Valley, which is great, no technology, farm work all day. But really, we decide to go ahead and take the plunge, and the farm turns out to be a disaster. But that's okay because we're here to fix it. After a few jokes made about our shabby little farm, it's time to actually get to living out our life. That said, Joja does hang around with a creepy looking mart at the side of town. They probably don't like me either since they left with no warning whatsoever. Probably would have been a good idea to give 2 weeks notice. The game progresses in seasons. There are 4 naturally with 28 days per season, and each day lasting around 10 to 15 minutes in real life. It makes the progression fast-paced, but not overly so, and it's still fun to play without making you feel like you're going too fast. Most often, life is centered around building up your small farm, making friends with other villagers, and completing activities like mining or fishing. You can craft various tools to build up your farm and gradually earn money by selling crops to be able to buy more seeds and so on and so forth, or at least that's the way I chose to go. Mining is fun because you can collect materials needed for building as you traverse long tunnels, but for me, fishing is where it's at. And actually, fishing in this is a lot different than something like Animal Crossing. The beach is a lot bigger, even with its own shop dedicated to things like fishing poles and bait. Once you find a fish, it then becomes something similar to an arcade game that you might see at a place like Chuck E. Cheese. You have to keep a green bar on a fish icon for a certain amount of time, but if you stray off, your chances of catching it lower. That said, other things like treasure, which can often make me stray off the fish for a second, can yield pretty cool stuff too. Or bait. Bait is there too. You can also make friends with the villagers who each have their own personality. Later on in the story, you can even build bigger relationships, but to be honest, I'm more of a simple person, so I just kinda did my own thing. And the cool thing is that it totally lets you. To create more of a storyline as you progress, a lot of players have done this and built bigger relationships, but it's not really forced or anything. Overall, though, I love how Stardew Valley sets players up with a premise, and that just kinda sets you free to do whatever you want with it. It does pressure you to build up relationships sometimes, but it's never really forced, and I like the freedom that the game gives you overall. Stardew Valley from far away may look like something like a retro game, but actually it's really pretty. The graphics blend retro and modern to look really detailed, and every building and person has its own specific design. Everything looks really good, and the pixel art style totally fits the game. When Stardew Valley first came out, there was a major audio static issue that would cause after you played the game for a while. It sounded pretty bad, to be honest, and I actually ended up muting my speakers until it was fixed. However, as of 2018, I haven't had the problem in a long time, and the game has worked just fine otherwise. And in fact, this game is very well suited for all different kinds of playstyles. It's one of the games that I actually tend to find myself playing in handheld mode a lot more than others. So overall, Stardew Valley is a really good game for how the Switch works in general. It performs incredibly well on both handheld and docked, and the storyline and visuals definitely don't make it subject to one better way to play. Stardew Valley can be found on the eShop for $14.99, and for all the content that it has to offer at a really affordable price, it is definitely worth it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for everything nerdy and Nintendo.